Welcome to Save As Ability, a podcast to educate and inform you about disability employment issues. My name is David D'Arcangelo, and I'm your disability policy expert. Living independently with a disability, that's what we're talking about today on Save As Ability. Welcome back. It's David D'Arcangelo for another episode. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share to help us keep great content flowing for you. So today we're going to dive into a topic that's very close to my heart on a number of levels, actually, and that's living independently with a disability. And, as we've talked about here at Save As Ability many times, and disability is a very wide spectrum, right? And so within it, if you have the 6 prevalence types of hearing and seeing and mobility and cognition and independent living and self-care, we're talking about all of those and the spectrum that exists within each. So we're talking capital D disability here, okay? And so, because independence means different things to different people, but there are some unifying factors there. There's some common denominators that we're going to talk about that I think really matters for everybody here in America, because it's about freedom. It's about freedom to make choices and to be independent and self-determined. And that's for all people, but particularly with people with disabilities, if there are a limitation that is, or a challenge that is there, that's what we're talking about there. So how can we create environments where people with disabilities can live as independently as possible? All right, so let's talk about that. There's a foundation of independence out there. So it's not just physical mobility or cognitive independence or financial stability. It's all of that. And it's how can we empower people with disabilities to be as independent and self-determined as possible? That's the goal. That's really the American dream. We want all Americans to be as independent and self-determined as possible. But, sometimes with people with disabilities, there are challenges there. There are barriers there. There are limitations. There's that in disability, that lack of. So what can we do to ameliorate that? What can we do to level the playing field? What can we do to create an environment where people with disabilities have the tools, the access to opportunities, and the support that they need to live really as independent as possible, their fullest lives, their best lives? So for some, it's being able to live in a home of their choice. For others, it's being able to pursue an education or becoming employed or simply having control over their daily activities. So there's a very wide spectrum there. Let's talk about some challenges and opportunities. And, it's very real to me, not only for myself as a person with a disability, but both my brothers have people with disabilities. My daughter has a significant disability, right? So being a guardian and having guardianship, I look at it from multiple different perspectives. So living independently with a disability can come with challenges. And that's everything from navigating inaccessible housing to public transportation or other types of transportation to managing healthcare and, other daily activities from, everything from banking and shopping to, all the other stuff you do in the community. So there are real barriers out there that exist. And so there's good news, though. The good news is that we've come so far and we continue to really make things more and more accessible, okay? And so with the advocacy that's been done and it continues to be done, the innovation, and really focus on solutions, we've been able to turn many of these challenges into opportunities. Now, barriers still exist, challenges still exist. Let's talk about a couple of them. Housing, for example, like accessible housing. Like housing in and of itself can be challenging because it's expensive. It's hard to find the right place. Now layer on top of that accessible housing. So, if you're a person with a mobility disability and you're in a power chair, there's not a lot of units that are on the market right now that are as accessible as you would want them or need them to be. So, finding accessible, affordable housing, it can be very challenging. So, the thing we need to focus on is these universal design principles. So we need to have incentives in place for builders to be able to make doorways wider and, asking the construction industry to make sure that, the things that they're creating options that work for people of all abilities. So it's creating spaces that work for everyone. So I'd ask you to look at some examples that we all kind of take for granted. The escalator, the elevator, the automatic door opener, HP parking, all of those types of things are put in place to be able to build independence for people with disabilities. Those are good things. I don't think you're going to get anybody to push back that those aren't good things that help everybody. So when it's done well, really, it's not just about people with disabilities. It's about our whole society being upwardly mobile and getting the talents that we have in our community of people with disabilities. So the more accessible we can be, the more that's going to help them, but it's going to help society as well. All right. So really what we want to make sure is that communities are choosing to embrace these principles. So when it comes time to redo the sidewalk or the crossing signals or the whatever the case may be, that it's being built with accessibility in mind and these universal design principles. These are not new concepts, but when you're only renovating something once every so many years or decades or whatever the case may be, when it gets replaced, we want to make sure it's replaced well so that it suits all of our people. Here's another big issue, transportation. Transportation is a big key factor because without transportation, really, how free are you to move about our society, right? So we need reliable transportation that focuses on independence, self-determination for all of our people. So yeah, it's public transportation, but it's also private transportation as well. So, everybody's thinking about these autonomous vehicles and how they're going to help, everybody in society. Well, it's going to help people with disabilities. Right now, I can't drive. I've never been able to get a license because I'm blind, right? So if I had a self-driving car, that would expand my universe and my independence greatly. So that's just one small example of how transportation is really a big factor that I'd ask you to consider. So, there's things that we can work on. And, now with new leadership, I'm very optimistic that we're going to have innovations on a number of levels, whether it's ride sharing apps or, the autonomous vehicles that we talked about, but also the systems that support that, incentivizing it and tax breaks for it and making sure that, people with disabilities are driving innovation as they so historically have over time. That's a good thing. That's a win-win. So these are all tools for independent living and living independently. And that's really what we're focused on here is how can we get people with disabilities to be as independent and self-determined as possible? That's a good thing for the people with disabilities. It's a good thing for society. So we unlock this independence when we bring about these tools and employ technology. So starting with technology, we really want to make sure that people with disabilities have that access. Now, whether it's assistive technology that's specifically designed for people with disabilities or technology that's available in the public, the kiosk that you're working at the bank or at the store, whatever the case may be, that is accessible to all of our people and available. There's one thing to make it accessible and another to make it usable. That can be challenging. And again, let's put incentives in place so we're not penalizing business to be able to do it. Okay. So, another thing is making sure that we're putting incentives in place for personal assistance. Right now, unfortunately, many of the frontline workers in our Health and Human Service Agency are making barely minimum wage. We got to figure out a way to have that be better so that people who need assistance in specific activities can get it. And we can incentivize it enough for employees to want to work and be in that industry. Okay. So I don't necessarily have an answer there, but we're talking about what it's taking to make people as independent and self-determined as possible. Okay. Living independently with a disability. And really the last thing I'll mention here is financial independence. Okay. And, so there's great programs out there that we've done recently, the ABLE Act, so special needs trusts, all those types of things. So there's those in place. We've got that, but it's all about how are you going to fund those? All right. So many people with disabilities or a significant part of people with disabilities are relying on these public benefit programs. And while that might be a piece of it, really that shouldn't be the driving factor. The driving factor should be able to be, for people of working age anyways, to make your own wage, whether you're opening up your own business or working for a company or some other business enterprise. It's making sure that you have that financial independence to be able to call your own shots. Okay, so that financial freedom, that independence and self-determination is really driven by that. You don't want to be reliant on these scamped public benefit programs that are really barely keeping up with inflation at this point. That's, that could be a piece, and we're working on that. We're working on larger things, but you got to get into the employment environment because it's going to help you be as independent and self-determined as possible. It's not easy, believe me, but you can do it. We've had many episodes about that. So finally, I'll leave you with the power of community. It takes a village, and that's your family, it's your friends, it's your neighbors, it's really the whole community, making sure that we're doing what we need to do to keep people with disabilities as independent and self-determined as possible. We can do it. We've improved a great deal, and we're continuing to improve. So through innovation, technology, and really just America's coming back. COVID might have, put a little ding in us, but now we're coming back stronger than ever. So the prospect for people with disabilities going forward is bright. So I want you to focus on positive things. It's a call to action here. My message is independence and self-determination, access to opportunity. That's what we're talking about here at Save Visibility. You can do it. We're all a part of it. I'm fired up as usual. David D'Arcangelo. Another episode of Save Visibility. Please like, subscribe, share, comment so we can keep great content flowing for you. I hope you have a great day. For more information about disability employment issues, please visit our website, disabilityemploymentsolutions.com. The Save As Ability podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, our YouTube channel at Disability Policy Expert, or wherever you stream your podcasts. Subscribe, stream, rate, and review our shows. Your ratings and reviews help our show reach new audiences. Produced by Pod Pro Entertainment. Save As Ability lives within a network of podcasts located at podproentertainment.com. #The New Radio. Again, my name is David D'Arcangelo, and I'm your disability policy expert. Until next time, thank you. I hope you have a great day.